Vallabha Girivardhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Pimanandi. Jaya Vishupad Paramahamsa. Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Siraboy Charanarvin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Skandi Biti, Founder Charya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur Ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Harinama Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Nitai Gaur Pimanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Krona Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutilibi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana the Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Uttamasloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Om Sarabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasalam pangom langayate girim. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We are continuing first canto, chapter 7, which is entitled Prayers by Queen Kunti. And today we are reading text, I think text text number 13, huh? 1-3, text 1-3. Vyasanam
Yasanam
Vikshya
Vikshya
Tat
Tat
Tesham
Tesham
Ananya
Ananya
Vishayat Manam
Vishayat
Vishayat Manam
Vishayatmanam
Sudarshanena
Sudarshanena
Swastrena
Swastrena
Swanam Raksham Vyadhad
Yadhat
Vibhuhu
Vibhuhu
Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham
Vyasanam Vikshyatat Tesham
Ananya Vishayat Manam
Ananya Vishayatmanam
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Swanam Raksham Vyadad Vibhuhu
Svananam Raksham Yadhat
Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham
Vyasanam Vikshyatat Tesham
Ananya Vishayat Manam
Ananya Vishayatmanam
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Swanam Raksham Vyadad Vibhuhu
Svanam Raksham Yadhat Vibhuhu
Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham
Vyasanam Vikshyatat Tesham
Ananya Vishayat Manam
Ananya Vishayatmanam
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Sudarshanena Swastrena
Swanam Raksham Vyadhad Vibhuhu
Svanam Raksham Yadhat
Vyasanam Vikshatattesham
Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham
Ananya Vishayatmanam
Ananya Vishayat Manam
Sudarshanena Swastena
Sudasanena Swastrena
Swanam Raksham Yadadvibu
Swanam Raksham Vyadad Vibhuhu
Vyasanam Vikshyatat Tesham
Vyasanam Vikshatat Tesham
Ananya Vishyatmanam
Ananya Vishayat Manam
Sudarshana Swastrena
Sudasanena Swastrena
Svanam Raksham Vidyatat Vibhu
Swanam Raksham Vyadad Vibhuhu Vyasanam
Vyasanam
great danger
Grande
Vikshya
Vikshya
having observed
Having observed
Tat
that
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 Tesham
Desham
there
there
Ananya
Ananya
no other
no other
Vishaya
Vishaya
means
means
Atmanam
Atmanam
thus inclined
thus inclined
Sudarshanena
Sudarshanena
by the wheel of Sri Krishna
by the wheel of Sri Krishna
Swaastrena
Swastrena
by the weapon
by the weapon
Swanam
Swanam
of his own devotees
own devotee
Raksham
Raksham
protection
protection
Vyadat
Yadat
did it Vibhuhu
Vibhuhu
the Almighty stupid crazy
to the earlier building start.
it's like Abhimanyu knows how to go in don't know how to go out. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees who are fully surrendered souls at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. Kindly repeat after me. The Almighty Personality of Godhead,
the Almighty Personality of Godhead,
Sri Krishna,
Sri Krishna,
having observed
having observed
that a great danger
that
With
a
a
great
great
danger
danger
was befalling
was before
his unalloyed devotees,
his
his unalloyed devotees,
who were fully surrendered souls,
whose fallen surrendered soul
at once took up
and once took up
his Sudarshana disc
his
Sudarshan
Darsana
disk
to protect them.
to protect them.
Purport. The Brahmastra, the supreme weapon released by Ashwatthama, was something similar to the nuclear weapon, but with more radiation and heat. This Brahmastra is the product of a more subtle science, being the product of a finer sound, a mantra recorded in the Vedas. Another advantage of this weapon is that it is not blind like the nuclear weapon, because it can be directed only to the target and nothing else. Ashwatthama released the weapon just to finish all the male members of Pandu's family. Therefore, in one sense, it was more dangerous than the atomic bombs because it could penetrate even the most protected place and would never miss the target. Knowing all this, Lord Sri Krishna at once took up his personal weapon to protect his devotees who did not know anyone other than Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished. And he behaves according to the quality or degree of the devotional service rendered by the devotees. Here, the word ananya vishayatmanam is significant. The Pandavas were 100% dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all great warriors themselves. But the Lord neglects even the greatest warriors and also vanquishes them in no time. When the Lord saw that there was no time for the Pandavas to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama, he took up his weapon, even at the risk of breaking his own vow. Although the battle of Kurukshetra was almost finished, still, according to his vow, he should not have taken up his own weapon. But the emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as Bhaktavatsala, or the lover of his devotee. And thus, he preferred to continue as Bhaktavatsala than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow. Translation again. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. So this is the ongoing Leela, describing, culminating actually in the protection of Parikshit Maharaj, who is in the womb of Uttara, Uttara being the wife of Abhimanyu. And Aswatthama, who was fighting with Duryodhana against the Pandavas, wanting to annihilate or destroy the dynasty, wanted to destroy all the male. When you destroy the male members in the family, then you destroy the family. So here it's nice to explain how, because the Pandavas were fully surrendered souls to the Lord, although Lord Krishna had taken a vow not to take up any weapons, at the end of the purport here, Prabhupada is mentioning how the Lord, who is known as Bhaktavatsala, which means very dear, very caring, and very protective to his devotees, he is taking up his Sudarshan Chakra to counteract this Brahmastra weapon. So here we get a little glimpse also in terms of very subtle sciences, Vedic knowledge, Vedic literatures are containing all kinds of knowledge, both spiritual and material knowledge, and both of them are in connection with the principles of dharma. Vedic culture is referred to as an eternal culture, known as Sanatan Dharma. It is actually the origin of all cultures. It is meant to be the culmination. The culmination means the highest expression of culture. And within Sanatan Dharma, there are very deep sciences which which describe these two levels, we could say, of that culture. There's the eternal spiritual culture that is called a spiritual swadharma. And then there is the eternal material culture that is called material swadharma. And of course, specifically here, in the context of this weapon, Brahmastra weapon, Srila Prabhupada is explaining how it is the closest thing we can compare the Brahmastra weapon, and its effect is nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs. And we know how devastating and how destructive is a nuclear bomb. The Americans released the first nuclear bomb on Japan in the 20th century, causing mass destruction practically instantly. So the Brahmastra weapon is compared as being a much more powerful weapon, having more more heat and more energy within that Brahmastra weapon. And the special feature of this weapon is that it will only destroy a particular target. Not like the modern day warfare, various types of missiles and weapons that they use, which very often will miss the target and kill innocent people. And even the target that is being aimed is not as precise as it is described here. Specifically, the Brahmastra weapon thrown by Asvatthama was meant to destroy the child within the womb of Mother Uttara, and also was aimed at destroying the five Pandavas. So the only way that was the only way to counteract this weapon, the only way to actually protect his devotees was for Krishna to use the ultimate weapon. This Sudarshan Chakra is Krishna's, you could say, there's no more powerful weapon than the Sudarshan Chakra of Krishna, which he sometimes is using, like in this case here. So what is, of course, nicely pointed out of here as well is that to the extent that one is surrendered to the Lord, to that degree or to that extent, the Lord reciprocates with his devotees. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamiyaham. In the Bhagavad Gita, there are various verses that describe this this point. It is a question of ultimately the word in Sanskrit is sharanagati. Sharanagati means actually to surrender. Our whole problem in the material world is that we we have declared independency, and we rather are more inclined to control than to be controlled. We are more inclined to be masters than to be servants. That is because we are covered by the modes of material nature. We have not properly understood our actual very insignificant position. We are lacking in what is called tattva. The whole Vedic literatures, especially that is very very much described in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the subject matter of tattva. Tattva means understanding reality. Tattva means understanding ultimately the absolute truth. So it means that if someone doesn't have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, which is the situation, especially in Kali Yuga, for the vast majority of people, therefore people are acting in all kinds of ways which are ultimately further implicating them in all kinds of miserable conditions, isn't it? So Vedic literatures such as, they are the topmost actually books of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita is a book of knowledge, just like, for example, a medical book. Medical book is not just for some people in some particular country or people who have some particular belief or faith. It is universal. universal book of knowledge, and the most complete um, book of knowledge, uh, mm, the most, let's say, detailed and scientific books of knowledge are contained actually in the Vedic literatures and are summarized in both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, the underlying teaching of both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is to learn how ultimately uh, to surrender, how to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, since He is the creator, maintainer, uh, and destroyer of this material world. Aham sarvasya prabhavo bata sarvam pravartate iti madva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanditaha. Those who have good intelligence, they will be inquisitive, and by Krishna's mercy, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, will come to understand through this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that that uh, we are totally dependent, fully dependent. Are very people like to declare independence, but actually nobody. We are being controlled every single second of the day. This body, we cannot stop our breathing. We cannot stop our heartbeat. We are controlled by the laws of nature, the stringent laws of material nature. So an intelligent person will want to understand who is behind or what is behind. Ultimately, it is who, that there's a person behind this material creation. So therefore, the importance for people to come in contact with this knowledge, the importance also for our own devotees to study the very deep knowledge and very profound and even very subtle sciences that are given in the Vedic literatures. Warfare is an activity that is part of the Vedic knowledge. It is one of the four sciences. It is referred to in Sanskrit as Danda Niti. Danda Niti is the science of politics, which is meant to be one of the four sciences that is taught in Varnashram College. That is one of many reasons why Srila Prabhupada wanted that we establish such an educational institution. Vedic culture has specific educational systems which are unknown largely in modern day society. And they are not also fully understood by our own devotees, largely because we are, most of us, especially those who are coming from a culture outside of Indian culture, outside of Vedic culture, mostly outside of India, we have small remnants of the Vedic culture. Even in Russia, there are remnants. Actually, in every country, we sometimes hear people discovering some old statue of Krishna. Actually, there are many things in Russia as well. It's I don't know if you've heard this, but it is said that sadhus from India used to go to Siberia, which is a pretty cold place, right?
Extremely.
You've been to Siberia?
I'm born in Siberia.
You're born in.
Yes. I believe almost 30 years.
Oh my God.
Yes, very cold.
Yeah. Well, I'm not from Siberia, but I'm from Canada.
It's little similar. Little.
Northern Canada.
Oh, very good. It's same, I think.
It's very, very close. Yeah. I remember when we were a child. Of course, when we are children, everything is big. But in those days, 60 plus years back, when we were small, in the wintertime when it would snow, I mean,
Huge.
yeah, I mean, so in the wintertime, in places like, yeah, some parts of Russia, Siberia, that's on the west side, is it?
Yes, yes.
On the west side, yeah. So in most countries, well, certain countries, especially that are more north, they are naturally more cold. Like the Sweden, the Scandinavian countries are also very cold, and of course Canada, especially in the northern sections. I mean, then Alaska is there, you know. So uh, even in those, of course, Shastra mentions that there are certain places, according to, yeah, it's there according to Shastra, there are certain places where people should actually be living and certain places where people should not be living, Siberia being one of them. In the Vedic literatures, it mentions that unless there are papaya trees and mango trees and banana trees growing there, if no such trees are growing there, tropical trees should not be living there, because most of the time we have to uh, work so hard just to kind of protect ourselves from the harshness of nature, isn't it? Um, so the point being that actually all kind of, I mean, all the information needed, how to live, um, both materially and of course especially um, how to live in terms of spiritual life, what is actual spiritual life, what is transcendental knowledge, what is the topmost transcendental knowledge. This can only be found actually in Vedas, in Vedic literatures. And therefore Vedic culture, because it is an eternal culture of Sanatan, Sanatan means eternal, Sanatan Dharma, therefore that is a culture that is meant to be introduced and practiced actually all over the world. And actually a few years ago, not maybe just maybe 2 years back, in South India, there are so many old scripts, writings, scriptures, still not translated, because most of the old writings are in Sanskrit. And there are different libraries that have many of these literatures. And because Sanskrit, because there's Kali Yuga and people are not very much cultured and not interested in Sanskrit, although maybe more recently there's a growing interest in that language. Prabhupada also is giving a lot of importance to learning Sanskrit. So in South India, I forget which place, either Karnataka or Kerala, they discovered a whole series of these ancient writings. Previously, it was on palm leaves they would write, that describes specifically about these different weapons Vedic mantras, different mantras that that Kshatriyas would actually learn and that they would use in warfare also. So that is one of many reasons why Vedic knowledge, which is introducing us to the highest level of spiritual knowledge, which ultimately culminates in knowing not only that there is a God, but knowing that actually God is a person and that we can actually learn to revive that we have an eternal relationship with that personality of Godhead, Krishna. And then there is a whole process and system by which we can revive our original connection, our original relationship with Krishna. Because ultimately, we see here in the material world also, everyone is looking for relationship, isn't it? We cannot actually live without friendship, without relationship, and all of the relationships that we find in the material world are actually described as a perverted reflection, kind of like incomplete or impure reflection of the original relationships in the spiritual world. And of course, those who are intelligent will revive that original relationship which is existing on the spiritual platform, on the spiritual level, because whatever relationship we may establish here in the material world, on the material level, is only very temporary. So, um, so that is why, as I was mentioning a little earlier, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted that we systematically, that's actually described in the first of 7 purposes when Srila Prabhupada incorporated his International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which he did actually in 1966, right? Which means actually 58 years ago. Actually, this month there's a special event. It's called Srila Prabhupada Connect Day. It's coming up actually on the the actual anniversary of the incorporation of ISKCON is on the 29th of July this year, which is 29th, right? And therefore, here in Mayapur, devotees are organizing a special event that will begin 2 days before on the 27th. So from the 27th, going on 28th and then 29th, there will be some presentations in 3 or 4 languages: English, Bengali, Hindi, and Russian. We're not forgetting the Russians. So because many devotees here are from Russian background. And that will be announced I think very shortly, in the next few days, if it's not already announced. I happen to know a little bit about it because there will be 7 speakers who will speak on one of the 7 purposes of ISKCON. So in that very first of the 7 purposes, Prabhupada mentions how we need to systematically learn and teach and propagate this knowledge, this topmost knowledge actually of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. We of course are supposed to read or hear both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam on a daily basis, But most people in the world today, again, especially in the Western countries or outside of India, may also be in the Eastern countries, but outside of India, um, are not familiar with these books of knowledge, and therefore the greatest that is described. This is called para upakar, the greatest welfare activity that one can do is to actually uh, spread, introduce, and teach this knowledge of Sanatana Dharma, which Prabhupada coined, of course, as Krishna consciousness. Therefore, International Society for Krishna Consciousness has this rather unique and very special responsibility of bringing this knowledge in so many different ways to actually the whole population in the whole world, because anyone who is devoid of this understanding, of this knowledge, will simply remain caught up in this ever unending cycle of repeated birth and death. So actually, when we begin to systematically study, take up this knowledge, these different sciences, like we're just touching on one of those sciences right now, the science of, in connection with this Dandaniti, the science of politics, which contains Dhanurveda. Dhanurveda is the specific Vedic literature that deals with the subject matter of the military science. And of course, military science is not simply in terms of physical fighting, that is one aspect, but also in terms of, because that is the responsibility of Kshatriyas to organize society, to protect individuals, and not only human beings, but to protect different animals, especially mother cow, and to protect nature, Mother Nature also. These are two very important mothers, without which humanity cannot function properly. So these are all sciences that Srila Prabhupada wanted us as individuals and as a society to learn, so that we can systematically, again, using Prabhupada's own term, introduce. And of course, Varnashram College is meant for that purpose, as well as Gurukula. That's why this is Gurukul building coming up here. Yes, this is the Gurukul. And then we, here in Mayapur, actually, since many years, the plan is there to establish a Varnashram College, and Mayapur already has selected some land for establishing Varnashram College. And here we're focusing on especially promoting or facilitating this spreading or systematically introducing this knowledge. This will be in its initial stage primarily a Varnashram Research Center, not research. Well, research, of course, will be there, but resource center, Varnashram Resource Center, where all types of resources will be available in terms of knowledge, in terms of skills, in terms of practical demonstration of various aspects of our Varnashrama or Vedic culture. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, in some places, Prabhupada equates, when he speaks of Sanatana Dharma, he speaks also of Varnashrama Dharma, and he describes how Varnashrama Dharma is our divine culture. It's the topmost divine culture, which is combining both the spiritual dimension as well as the material dimension of life, because we are here dealing with both realities, isn't it? Our body is matter, that is a material dimension, but within this body is the spiritual dimension, the Atma, the spirit soul, and therefore both need proper attention, and the Vedic literatures, through the various um, books of knowledge that are given, provide us with all the information that actually we need. And it's naturally the whole subject matter of dharma, of Sanatan Dharma, is a very deep and very profound, very containing all types of knowledge and information. So it is meant to be uh, taken up, is meant to be studied, meant to be applied gradually in our daily lives. So I think it will take some time before we start learning some of these subtle mantras that can uh, create this type of Brahmastra weapon that was released by Aswatthama. But there are so many other aspects of the Vedic culture that we are meant to learn, and therefore, actually, Srila Prabhupada wanted that in every single center or temple that we have, that we systematically introduce this type of knowledge. Again, not only spiritual knowledge, but there's a lot of very, very important material knowledge that we as devotees need to know, so that we can live properly by utilizing the natural resources that Krishna has given to mankind for living in such a way that will favor, more easily favor, our spiritual progress or spiritual advancement. So I will read the verse once again, and then if there's any comments or question, we can take a few minutes. Yeah. So we were reading text number 13. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees, who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan disc to protect them. So, any thoughts, comments, questions?
Maybe, yeah, I have questions about Sudarshana.
Yes.
Sudarshana is personality.
Sudarsana is a weapon and also a personality. It's like we worship just like Lord Jagannath. He has his Sudarshan chakra. Yeah. So Sudarshan is more like the personal. It's the personal weapon of Krishna. So it's not. Um, we could say that Krishna is fully present in his Sudarshana weapon, but it's more a weapon than Krishna uses his Sudarshana as you could say spiritual weapon or transcendental weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's weapon. I mean, no, it's disc.
Yes.
But in some place in Bhagavatam told about Sudarshana. It's like personal. He something to say. For example, I remember when Krishna battled with Shiva.
Yes.
Yes, and Shiva use special weapon called, I think, I don't remember, something weapon, and
Okay.
Krishna use he Sudarshana, and
Awesome.
Sudarshana and Shiva weapon will be personality too,
Uh-huh.
and they like speaking. Yeah, it's true. Can read.
Okay. Well, in relation to Krishna, I mean, we don't. That's probably a particular pastime which is there. Uh, where is that described in the Bhagavatam?
Yeah, I can look. It's like part about Shiva, Krishna battle with Shiva.
Right, right, right.
They Yadavs attack demon city, and Shiva protect demon city.
Okay.
It was he
Yeah.
devotees of Shiva.
Right, right. Because he is their worshipable deity. Right, right. Yeah. Well, actually, um, we see in the pastimes of Krishna that various uh, personalities are serving him in different ways. It's just like Krishna's food, for example, is also personality. Uh, Krishna's different paraphernalia are serving Krishna in these ways. So these are uh, in different ways expansions of Krishna, and I guess sometimes they speak
Yes, yes.
in very special circumstances. Yeah, because actually in the spiritual world, mm, everything is conscious, isn't it? Even when we walk on the on stones, the stones are also conscious. Everything is conscious. It is chintamani, and especially different items that Krishna uses, like his shoes, his umbrella that is described. These are personalities who are serving the Lord in that particular form. Yeah. So, uh, so in that way, everything in the spiritual world, when we come to understand how God, the concept of God, is not simply some vague, impersonal type of idea or energy, but actually is a person. And what is extraordinary is that everything in the spiritual sky, in the spiritual world, is also personal and serving the Lord, and it yeah, in different ways. So in other words, everything is super personal in the spiritual world. Uh, so yes, uh, we generally we're not the ones to kind of establish a personal relationship with Krishna Sudarshan Chakra, but uh, he he has, it's part of his, we could say, transcendental paraphernalia, and therefore Krishna's paraphernalia is also personal in that um, he's being he is being served in this way. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi.
गणेश भक्ति राघव स्वामी महाराज की
Jai.